a couple of years ago when it was the art show at my school, my senior year of high school, my last year there. The art show, at the end of the year when all the people, well, the art students, anyways, present their, they just do it in the auditorium, the small gym, and they hang up all their stuff they've created through the year. There's the sewing people do it, the people who make pottery, clay, people who, draw. There's 3D art, there's 2D art, 2D, 3D AP, and AP 2D, and so they have different exhibits. It's like an art museum. They have different sections of people who did, like, carpentry and, 3D art, like, actual, I think someone did a chair once, or 3D, like, stuff you can touch. Well, I guess you can touch a painting, but it's just not a thing. You can't really step into the Mona Lisa or the, I don't know, that summer's day on out of park, or all those paintings. So this art show was a little special to me, not because I wasn't in it. I think I actually was in it the last, just drawing and painting. I drew some quote drawings and, said, like, maybe people never change, and maybe you just never knew who they really were. That was one of mine, and the teacher really liked it because she had said it's a deep meaning, and she was really nice because she went through my sketchbook and realized not the neatest guy, like my art's not really the same as everyone else's, but she said, but you like to draw, you're a person who actually enjoys art, and the others just, like, and mine was well organized, and so I followed all the rules, and yeah, so she gave me an A because she was really nice. So anyways, this art show that I read one girl's, I think she was in like 2D AP, and her artist's final statement was, the message she wants to get across the table is that she wants people to start paying more attention to the actual message the artist makes in their art, not things like fine art, like painting, maybe that, like, but also the movies, anything by Tim Burton, or really any movie, it's a work of art. The sculptures, the TV shows, the, I guess, news articles or magazine articles, the BuzzFeed videos, music videos, music, that's art too. There's a lot of things that could count as art. But I won't go into it. So the message was, she wanted people to pay more attention to the actual message behind the art, the thing that artists are trying to say, because usually artists, they make a plot line or a story, especially TV shows, and at the end they want people to learn a lesson. They always have a moral in it, and so the reason I love Shrek so much is, well, one, did you know that Shrek is based off a book by William Steig? I mean, if you read the credits, yes, William Steig's name is up there. He didn't do anything from the movie. He wasn't alive during the movie, but he wrote the book. It was a children's book, only a couple of pages, mostly pictures, a few words, rhymes, and stuff. And then that inspired the whole big movie. They, of course, took a lot of creative liberties, the directors. So Shrek in particular is a movie. I'm talking about the first Shrek, because 2 and 3 I'm not sure about. A lot of sequels, it's just the Hollywood people want money. Like, usually when Hollywood people make it, it's just about money, and the books make you think, but I mean, this was a children's book, so it didn't make you think as much. It sort of did, but so the thing about Shrek, I like it. One, it's set in a very old world, like Middle Ages, and it said like the fairy tale creatures were real. Like there was Pinocchio, there was a talking donkey, there was donkey, not donkey, ogres, gnomes, dwarves, the gingerbread man who talked. Oh, the mirror that talked, which really is just based on the there was an old belief or practice. You can see this in a lot of movies. Like you can see it in Snow White when the queen says, "Mirror, mirror on the wall," or in the balcony. The absurd play, The Balcony. There's a scene where the priest is like in a closed room and he's talking to himself in the mirror. So I guess talking in mirrors was very, very popular back then. I mean, I read a book said, it was called um, El, The Alchemy of Masks and Mirrors, an alchemy of masks and mirrors, where they talked a lot about mirrors and how I think people could project themselves through mirrors. So it was kind of the princess was flying in a ship over. She was crossing the land between worlds, and unfortunately, on her flying boat, there was some mirrors that weren't covered in the cellar, the dwelling, whatever you call it, on a ship. And then I think her assassin or some evil person came through the mirror. He projected himself through the mirror. So, I mean, mirrors are definitely, any reflective surface. Like Native Americans, they really liked mica and obsidian because you could use them for scrying. I think I have mica. For I don't know. I have it somewhere, but not right here. It's really good for scrying and looking at yourself. So about Shrek is set in the old world where when he went on his quest, I mean, at first they wanted to kill the ogre. Remember Lord Farquaad? He said, "Whoever kills the ogre first is the person, the knight who gets to rescue the princess." But no, then Shrek went on the quest by himself with Donkey, and they just crossed the land. They didn't have phones. You won't get service out in a place like that. They didn't go to grocery stores. They just ate stuff they found. Like that's real food, I guess, including animals. But if you could not harm animals, that'd be much better. They got it right then. It didn't sit on a shelf for up to months or however long. Like, do you know when you get orange juice or most fruit juices, it could have been sitting in a vat in factory for a really, really long time, so over time it loses flavor. So the manufacturers add flavorings to it. Yeah, anything with preservatives or unnatural dyes, not real food. Yeah, that was real food because they ate it right when they got it, really. And yeah, there wasn't much going on. Like, did you know there have actually been studies showing that people in hospitals heal faster when there's less electronics, less noisy things, when It's more like a place out of nature because, you know, if I go out into the field by myself, the only sound is really like maybe crickets, bees, birds, um, or sometimes it's just silence. Frogs. I like to listen to frogs. Um, yeah, so that's kind of how the human brain is supposed to work. Like too much noise, too much interference is, you know, interferes with stuff. It stymies your everything, your healing. Stymie, we're learning today, to hinder or thwart. Yeah. So too much noise, like mainstream culture, like loud music, would stymie stuff. That's why meditation is so good. And back to Shrek, it was set in the Middle Ages, but I think it really had a lesson because remember on their way back on that late night when they looked at the moon and the stars and Shrek was reading the stars and you know, he said, that's just a bunch of dots. And Shrek said, well, sometimes, Donkey, things are more than they appear to be. I think that was really the thing that captured the whole message of the movie. Because, I mean, when you think he's an ogre, but then, I mean, if you just saw something that looked like that, you'd want to run and not get to know it like Lord Farquaad, when Shrek walked in, he said, ugh, it's hideous! But why don't you get to know it first? Or, you know, judge the person, not how they look. Or, you know, some people, they might look like they're missing an arm or they're deformed or whatever. And immediately assume, oh yeah, so you can't fight, you're defenseless. And then you find out they're a black belt. So yeah, there's the third eye. The reason it's so important is because the Hindus know that this right here, that pineal gland, anyways, is, I think, the one in the center of the forehead, center of the head, where if you do the Kasari mudra, like Heaven's Bridge, tongue up to the roof of the mouth, it warms it, so you're targeting that specific gland. Hindus know that the third eye is the thing that allows you to see beyond illusion, because you know your eyes deceive you. That's interesting. Why I think the new Aladdin, its trailer was close your eyes, because they keep you from seeing. They hinder your seeing. Because there's a real eye that has rosin. It actually has rosin cones in here, but I mean, it actually does maybe the real seeing, because I'm starting to think there's all simulation, what we normally see. Yeah, Shrek is definitely about that. Like, when I was telling a person at it was a sweat lodge, and you know these people are so egocentric, I guess. They only see what you see on the outside. Like, you shouldn't judge people by just what you see. Like, I told my dad, I'm sure a lot of people judge me by what they see, but no, don't be fooled. I'm tough. You know, I can do body combat classes, and I've done some pretty rigorous stuff, like Taekwondo classes, back-to-back Taekwondo, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Kundalini Yoga, 10 minutes of the Sadam Kriya, which normally it's only 3, and yeah. I'm not checking shit, that's the point I'm trying to make. So I was telling the people at this sweat lodge, who you think would be spiritual people, very enlightened people who wouldn't be so egocentric, but when I told them in the book, the children's book, Shrek was he went out on a quest to marry a person he found out about, like, had a witch read his fortune in the cauldron, and he said, "You'll marry a beastly woman who's even uglier than you," and he wandered um, towards a castle. He stumbled into a castle. It was guarded by a knight, and the knight said, "Don't go in there. There's a beast even uglier than you." But she went in and met the Fiona. She was already a monster in the book, and I mean, I guess my words were misleading. I did just say monster. So the woman at Sweat Lodge said, "Oh, so she was already a monster." And oh, I didn't say anything, but she was never a monster. I mean, this whole movie is about how she might have changed looks, but she's still the same person. Like, I'm sure South Park's, there was that episode about gingers, and when Cartman changed to, like, his friends snuck into his room and used makeup to make him look ginger. And then he thought, "Oh no, I look different," and he said to Stan and Kyle and Kenny that I'm still me inside. I don't look different, or he looks different now, but still the same person. But they said, "Doesn't matter, you're ginger." I'm sure they were just trying to give him a taste of his own medicine, or they wouldn't really care if all of a sudden his hair turned red and skin pale. But I guess the only thing I have about that is that means you can shorter amounts of time spent outside in the sun would make you burn easily. So I mean, that's not good. I like to spend long periods outside, and I guess their umbrellas, like people in Asia, they always walk around with parasols because they know suns ages you, and yeah. So yeah, Shrek is love, Shrek is life. Really, when you think about it, like I'm sure that's how people got their food back in the day when like Fiona, to get the egg, she killed the bird with her voice, and she had to be creative. But I think nowadays we definitely have other options, better options besides killing birds to get their eggs. Like, you'd feel bad if you saw a snake take an egg from a bird's nest. So it's like, why, go vegan, please. There's no reason not to. And let's see, Shrek. I mean, when Fiona got back, Lord Farquaad was such a terrible person that I'm glad he got ate. He met Fiona and she was the princess that time, but then with Trudeau's first kiss, or with the sundown, she became the ogre, but I don't know, she changed just who she was. She was still the same lovely person and just changed shape, I guess. There's the phrases. Have you ever heard the phrase, "Don't judge a book by its cover"? Actually, there was a Looney Tunes episode. Pug said, "Have you ever heard the phrase, 'Don't judge a book by its cover'?" And Duffy said, "No." "Okay, it's what's on the inside that counts." Duffy said, "No." Bug said, "Looks can be deceiving." Duffy said, "No." Then Bug said, "What's wrong with you?" And Duffy said, "Oh, that one I've heard." Yeah. And you gotta think about these phrases. I mean, there's a reason why they've survived for so many years as folk knowledge. Like, "You are what you eat" is one. That's another one. Because old wives' tales, some of them have truth to them. God, isn't there one about, I don't know, yours are burning if people are talking about you behind your back, or, I don't know, but there are definitely some things that ring true and have truth, and some things that are stupid. Like, I just read that back in the day, deaf people who never talked, like never used a voice, they used sign language or taps or whatever. They never used spoken language, so people always assumed they were evil, and that's pretty stupid. And yeah, so Shrek definitely has a lot more to think about than you think. Or, just these shows, it's more than just what you see on the outside. There's always an underlying moral or message. Like, even Cars 3, you think it's kind of stupid. It's just anthropomorphic cars, which is for like little kids. But my grandpa wanted to see it, so I went to go see it with him, and he liked cars. I guess he thought it was just about cars, not these cars that were, I guess, would be from a children's book. There was a mater, they said, remember the female spy, British spy, she said he's extremely American. When she was asked, is he American? She said extremely. So maybe Americans aren't that smart, or, don't generalize, but, it's definitely a difference between here and other countries. That's why Michael Moore came out with so many documentaries about, where to invade next. He didn't really mean invade a country, he just said, there are all these other Western countries in Western Europe that have, free healthcare, free college, good education, better teaching practices, and actual nutrition, and when grown men actually eat vegetables and they don't really use drugs, they consider caffeine and sugar and sex drugs. And he also said they have more paid vacation, and it's just better over there. And people aren't so afraid. They don't live in a fear-based culture. We do in America. I know, it's like Marilyn Manson said, times have not become more violent, just more televised. Or Oscar Crowley said, every falsehood is ultimately the child of fear in one form or another. Falsehood is the child of fear in one form or another. Which I think is true. People make stereotypes or overact because of fear, and yeah, fear is definitely a limiting thing. Good. That's why meditation is so good. It shrinks the amygdala. And so it's not just Shrek. There are plenty of good artistry things, books, movies, everything to think more about. I know things like sculptures and paintings, that's harder to get a message from. I guess you can in a way if you're that open-minded, but yeah, it's much easier to stick to movies and TV shows, books. Let's see. Do I want to say anything else? So that's why I love Shrek. The first Shrek, I think. And whenever there's sequels, people just try to make money. There was a really good book, The Way of the Peaceful Warrior, or all Paulo Coelho's book. They're making movies out of those. The books are always really good because they have message. and the narrator goes into more detail about what's the like problem with these people. I think Paulo Coelho, he writes mostly omniscient, or the Winner Stands Alone was omniscient because he said these people that go to the like celebrity A-list, you know, Sundance Music Festival or Sundance Film Festival, or you know, the thing where they walk on the red carpet and stuff, and the hottest models, like most successful people, they write blood diamonds, but they don't realize the person who mined it like spent their whole life getting that one diamond, and then they sold it for a fraction of what it was sold for. No, sick society we live in. But I'm sure the movie is just, it throws stuff at you and it's just gonna be about money, and they want to sensationalize things, and yeah, sensationalism, a good thing. But I keep learning a new thing every day. My way of doing that is subscribing to the word of the day. And I'm subscribed to the Russian word of the day, the Hebrew word of the day, Spanish word of the day, and every day I look up the dictionary.com word of the day. But I know you can just choose one. I definitely don't expect people to do all of them. So, I know so much information, your brain can only handle so much one. That's why whenever I'm showing someone zero off, telling someone zero off, I'm afraid I'm overloading them. But I guess, bye. Calm down, people. Listen to Marilyn Manson. Read his quotes. How they present themselves on stage is, they just need to get attention, but actually when they're in quotes or in their interviews, they're a lot different. Bye. Like, that's why you should actually read Alistair Crowley's books. Actually read it.